Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Today's podcast episode is a one-on-one coaching session between me and my client, JD. JD's been working with me inside of the money manifestation movement for almost a year, and his relationship with money has improved significantly. He was saying his relationship with money is pretty good. He doesn't place a lot of importance on it, which allows him to feel free and not worry about it. But what he was noticing is, just thinking back to his past, he remembered that when he was like a kid and a teenager, he had this feeling of anything is possible. Like this feeling of I'm going to make loads of money and I'm going to be so rich and anything's possible. And he didn't get stuck in the how. It just felt like it was going to happen for him. And he realized that something changed in his adult years where he kind of lost that possibility. He lost that sense of wonder and excitement around it. And when we explored it a little bit, we realized that it was when he got into the workforce and started taking on some beliefs, probably from other people, but also coming from just looking at his current reality and dictating what was possible based upon that, that it started making him believe that maybe something like that isn't possible for him. So what we did was we dove in and explored all of his thoughts about money and what has changed through the years to help him get back to a place where he feels like anything is possible when it comes to money. And he doesn't feel like it's harder to manifest money than it is to manifest other amazing things in our life. So I think you're really going to enjoy this episode if you are someone who is telling yourself, you know, life is really good. Should I even want more money? Is this even something that I should go for? Or if you've lost that spark of possibility, maybe you used to be more of a dreamer than you are now, and you just don't let yourself dream or want what you actually want. Or if you're someone who's telling yourself money isn't that important, but you're wondering why more of it isn't coming in. If so, come hang out and listen to this episode. I think it's going to be so helpful. Either way, I hope you totally enjoy it. Hi, JD.
Hello.
What would you like some coaching on today?
It has to do with our monthly topic, big money. And I'm not really sure exactly how to say it, but growing up when I was young, I always envisioned just being uber rich with my friends, like we just all did. And it wasn't like, you know, hard or weird or how. It was just like, this is just what's going to happen, obviously. And then I did grow up and I've lost that for sure. It may have been my experience working, you know, at a bank, which could perhaps be described as maybe soul crushing or something like that. And realizing that like a salary is fairly fixed and is not uber wealthy. But since then, I don't work at the bank anymore, and my income's gone up a bunch, and I'm a lot happier in that way. And logically, I don't feel any limit to receiving just gobs and gobs of increase and of money and wealth and whatnot. I don't feel not wealthy, but I still feel a really large gap between like that just feeling inside that I used to have about, you know, just believing that I was going to be, that I just would have more money than could make sense. And now when I think of oh, I'm going to be really rich. It's like, well, maybe I'll make like $200,000 or $300,000 or something like that. And really that's not that much compared to what's available. So
Okay.
does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yes, 100%. And I just love this because I really think like our younger selves just know. So it's like your younger self already had a relationship with your future self, right? So like it knew you knew what was coming. And that's super fun. That's not gone, but something happened in your mind that made you kind of lose faith in it. So
Yeah.
you open to looking at that?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay. Yeah. So you said maybe it was from working at a bank. Can you think of like, okay, when, like, I would look back, at what age were you whenever you were like, I know it's unlimited. I'm going to make so much money. What age was that?
I'd probably say all the way through high school. And it wasn't until I actually got like a full-time job after college that I realized, and I was also married at that time. Mm-hmm. And so I realized like, well, the paycheck is, I can't do anything to make this paycheck bigger. And it's like, if I stick with where I am now, it's going to like, I could go from here to here.
Yeah.
You know, and what I wanted was way up there, but like, it just was already predestined. But right up until that first job, probably. I feel like I had that still.
So what was the belief that you had before that job, up through high school, the end of high school, about money and what was possible?
I remember just feeling like that I was just going to have it. Like, I didn't know how and I didn't know why, except that I wanted it. But it just seemed like, you know, I knew that there were very wealthy people that existed, and I just was like, I'm just going to be one of them. I just felt like that's just what was going to happen.
Yeah. And then once you took that full-time job and got married, what belief did you start believing at that time? What new belief entered your mind that you started believing that kind of got in the way of you thinking that was possible for you anymore?
I think what it was that in that time, the current reality really just kind of educated me. And I was like, oh, wait a second. Like, obviously what I was doing wasn't it. And I didn't see how it became almost like I almost at that point, I had to figure out how to do it instead of just believing that it would happen. It's like, all right, well, I started doing things. I'm in the how phase now, and it's not it. Like, this is not it. And so like, if this isn't it, like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to, like, and then it's like, maybe that's not real, you know, because I don't know what to do to make it happen. Yeah. And out of all of the different options, and I had some friends that were more successful than I was, but even they were still in the same position where like they were getting this and they could see, you know, 5 years later, I'll be getting this. And that's not very much difference. And like, the how really got in the way for me, I think.
Yeah. And it's almost like what happened too, is it sounds like when you were, you know, in your teen years, younger, and then all through your teen years, you didn't let your current circumstances dictate what was possible for you.
Yeah.
Right. Because like as a teen, you probably didn't know how the heck you would do it. You know, it's not like you had the exact how in front of you. You weren't like, oh, this is exactly how it's going to happen right here, right now. So I can believe it. But like you got into the workforce, and also so many people do this. So it's very, very common for our brain to do this where we're like, oh, this is my current reality. This is my current circumstance. And we allow that to dictate what we believe is possible for us, for our lives. And then we start getting stuck into the how.
Yeah.
Does that resonate?
It resonates. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think you did that?
I didn't know any better.
Yeah. Right. Really?
I didn't know any better. And I don't know. I've been in your program for almost a year now. I think next month is a year. And it's really helped me to reframe and to like understand and open up things a lot more than before. But even leading up to this, in the last 3 years as being and running my own business and helping Crystal run her business. It's really expanded my just everything a lot. But at that point, like nobody teaches anything like you teach in school or growing up, like,
or at work.
It's just,
yeah. So helpful to know, like, you just learned that, you picked that up, but it's like you carried it on past that career. So tell me a little bit about where you are now that you are an entrepreneur and there really aren't limits.
Yeah. Well, we're making more money, which is great. And even it's interesting too, because when I was a teen, I felt like that money was what I wanted. It was just so important. And like, I wanted to have gobs of money because I wanted gobs of money. But now I've learned that money isn't actually that important, but being able to be free and to do the things that I want, that's what's important. And money enables that. And my life has changed so much now compared to what it was 5 years ago. And I do the things that I want now, and I have the time that I want, and we have more money. And really, like, my life has changed so much, and it's really amazing. And I'm just full of gratitude for everything that I have and how we get to live now. And I realize, like, I still would love to have more money. And sometimes as I think about this and try and internalize myself, maybe where a stumbling block could be, sometimes I feel like maybe I reached this level where I am now, and it's hard to see what's the next step. And instead of trying to just figure that next step out, I've realized, well, I've got enough. Like, I'm already just so much better than before. Like, why not just be, maybe this is enough and I'm good here and I can just stay here forever.
Yes. Totally. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I know we can get into, and like, I know that's very common where we're like, well, I shouldn't want more. My life is amazing now. But I'm curious, like, the teenage you who was so connected to that dream of having gobs of money and it was just very freeing. How do you feel now with your vision that you shared with me of like, money isn't actually that important, but being free is, and money is just like going to be a part of that? Does that feel as open and as good as the vision that you had as a teenager?
On the scale of like good, better, and best, it would be a good and not a best. It isn't as, just exciting and as energetic and liberating as, my views back then. It's still good and it's great, but it isn't, it's not as much, and it's just a little bit different.
Yeah. I almost wonder if there's a part of you that, based upon conditioning and what you maybe grew up learning or what you picked up, is almost like taking on some beliefs that's not allowing you to want what you actually want. Like, do you actually want gobs of money?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like I do. And it's still strange though, because even like those gobs of money, it's a lot fewer gobs than it was back then. But I think that that's fine, because, I'm not in my mind, like, holding on to a vision of just having this, like, just loads and like hundreds of millions of dollars like that. And that's what I was as a teenager. It was like, yeah, man, hundreds of millions. But now it's weird when you put numbers to it, because those, like, even now I see, like, if I was just had millions of dollars, like, that would be just, the equivalent of what, the real life or the mature equivalent of that boyhood dream. That's how I see it now. And going through and referencing back, I guess, just to the work that I've done going through your course and the workbook and everything. So many times I was to the point going through those exercises where I honestly feel like I have everything in life that I want. except for money. Like, and at that point, I'm like, but do I need money just for the sake of money? Like, if I have all of these other things, and a lot of times with my peers, I'll see that, some of them have lots of money, but they don't have these other things in life. And I'm like, well, I already feel really great about those other areas that they're looking for. And so I don't know, it's kind of been strange to me, where I feel like my life has really developed and been fulfilled in almost every area except the money area. And I used to think that the money area is what would like fuel, and like you need, like the money would come first and it would bring all of these other things up.
Right.
But I feel like somehow without the money, I got all of these other things and the money's still lagging behind. And I'm like, part of me is like you said, and I think it is because of the conditioning of, going through being employed and the jobs that I had. And, that money, that really big money isn't just something that anybody can have, or that it's really hard to get. But some part of me feels like with everything else that I value up so high, is it wrong, or should I focus on trying to bring the money up to that level that I kind of also wanted?
Right. So I think this is because it's almost like your brain, it's like, well, can I have it all? Right. Like, I have enough here. There's so much goodness that is it even okay to want here? But like, why can't you have it all? Why not have the incredible life that you have created and the money?
Yeah. And that's a question that I've had a bunch. Crystal and I have talked about that. And logically, there's no reason. There's no answer to that.
Yeah.
To say no. It doesn't make any sense in any of the different things that I believe. But for some reason, there's still a small belief that's holding it back.
Yeah. Well, I think that the dissonance, I mean, I heard it loud and clear. So I know what the competing intentions are for you, right? Which is that like your belief about money is like, it's not that important. So I always think about money as like an energy, and it totally responds to what we believe about it. So if we're telling money it's not that important, what do you think money does? Like, imagine that was like a relationship that you were in, right? If you were like, Crystal, you're not that important. Like, is Crystal going to want to like hang around you and like come, be around you as much as possible? Probably not, right? So your belief it's not that important. And, and I think that's the belief that's creating this dissonance for you. And my hunch is that it's coming from this place of like, and I don't know, but we can explore it. But there might be some kind of belief of like, can I have it all? Or is it okay to want money? What does that mean about me? Maybe you've learned something about money, that it's not great to want it and that it's much more important to want other things. But I don't think it's one or the other. Yeah.
I've tried to go down that rabbit hole myself, and I think what it comes down to is me, deciding that it's not so important, and not so much like what would it mean about me and those types of questions of having it. But I really do feel like I've, in my attempts to, I guess, just progress individually and, be happy with what I have and go after the things that I want. A lot of what I've done is just, decide that money isn't important. Like it's, and in part of trying to like not worry about money, like, and I don't, I don't worry about money. And that's something that I've been fortunate not to have done for a long time. And part of my being free spending it, and I don't know who I heard this from, but you talk about it as an energy, and I've heard people talk about it as just like a flow, and it it comes in and it goes out, and you should be free to let it leave just as you are free to let it enter. And I think in my effort to really internalize that, what I've kind of done is just decide that it's not important. So it's fine for it to
Mm-hmm.
leave and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And instead
Yes.
of maybe placing it somewhere else I've placed it as not important, and it's been able to fit in that bucket of all those things and allow me to just not think about it, because I've maybe, and I should have probably, instead of saying it's not important, done something else with it, put it somewhere else in my belief spectrum or whatnot. But I think that's probably where the issue is.
That makes so much sense. And I actually think it's like it was perfect to evolve you to where you are now with it and create the relationship with money that you have. Because when we place too much importance on something, then we're attached to it, right?
Right.
So but you went to the opposite of like, instead of placing so much importance on it, let me just like make it not important, which has served you, right? It's allowed you to stop worrying about it, allowed you to stop making it mean anything. Amazing. But I think now what we're uncovering is just like, okay, to take you to that next level of your evolution around money, that may not be the belief that's going to serve you, because it's really not attracting money.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I like the way that you say that, because it doesn't make me feel bad about it. But because that belief, it really has served me well to bring me to where I'm at and to help me past all of the money baggage that I was beaten into me through my employment and whatnot. But
100%.
I do need to pivot from that to move forward.
Yeah. So I'm curious, if you were to think of it as a relationship that you want to have in your life, one that's just loving, like, or I want to know, what kind of relationship do you want to have with money? Like, if you were to think of it as a relationship that's in your life from an intentional place, what would be amazing?
I was reviewing my notes from the workbook of going through your program before this. I was like, this will help me come up with something to get coached on, hopefully. And
I love it.
One of the things that I really liked is I compared money to air, where it's just always around me and I don't think about it. And when I go to breathe in, it's there and it fills me, and I breathe it out without needing to hold on to it. And I'm not sure what that type of a relationship is. Air is very important, for sure. But that's what I'd like. I don't want money to be a focus in my life. I don't want it to be a burden. I just want it to always be there, to be flowing into me, to be able to use it, to be able to give it, to be able to spend it, and not to worry about it.
Yeah. So what's different about your relationship with air than what your relationship to money has been? Because I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
What's different?
I guess, well, so the first thing that comes to my mind is like air is just, it's always there. It's very tangible, even though you can't really feel it. But it's like, whereas money hasn't always been there. And, I've had to definitely, do things in work and in the way that I spend it. And money's a complicated thing. In the world that we live in, money's very complicated. So I've had to do a lot of work to uncomplicate it and to get it to the point where it is now. It might be like kind of a cheater type of an answer, but it seems like if money was just always around me like air is, that's what would make the relationship the same. But there's got to be something, the presence of it can't be what makes the change, because the change has to happen in order for that presence to actually manifest itself.
Yes, right. Yeah, because you're not like looking for evidence that air is here, right? You're not like, wait, is there enough air? Is there enough air? That's not where your brain is. What's your brain thinking with air?
It's not thinking about it. It's just breathing. It's telling my body to use it.
Yeah. Yes. Is there anything in the way of you believing that about money?
Only my thoughts.
Always.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't put my finger on anything except the fact that I've learned a lot over the last couple of years, especially this year, that my thoughts about money and about anything really changed the reality that exists around that thing. So
So, oftentimes our brain will go to, well, the reason that I can't believe that it's all around is just because I have evidence that it's not. But I think a really powerful thing that you could do is start looking for evidence of how it is. How is it already like air? Like, how is it already always there for you?
Well, I mean, it's never not been there for me.
Yeah.
Whenever we've really needed it, it's always been there. And we're making more of it now than we ever have before in our life. And lots of, great things have been happening about it. It's only in the moments of looking in your bank account after you just spent a whole bunch of it on something, that's important that you wanted to spend it on, but it's like now a big chunk of it just left. And so now it's like, okay, well, in that moment, that's when, things like doubt or question might come in. But
that's good to recognize, because
it's really just in a very small time frame. Like if you just if you look through tunnel vision, that's when it seems like it's easy to have doubts and to have or to, I guess, falter in the belief paradigm.
Yeah. So in those moments, it's so helpful to identify, like, oh, when I don't actually believe that it's always there for me and always around me, to actually identify those moments so that you can come up with a new action plan of your, like, I know this month we've been talking about big money behaviors, which, by the way, if you're not in my program, we had big money month. So that's what JD is referring to. August and moving into September, we're doing big money 2.0. So that's what we're talking about here. But yeah, we talked about big money behavior. So I think it can be really helpful to think about, okay, in those moments where I do start to go into doubt, like that's what my unintentional brain has done. What would it be like if I had the relationship with money that I am cultivating in that moment, right? So like, if, for example, you just exhaled a bunch of air, what would your thought be?
There wouldn't be a thought. I would just breathe it back in.
Like, yes. So what's your belief whenever you let go of a big chunk of money?
Well, my belief should be that,
or what is the unintentional?
The unintentional belief is going to either question if it was the right thing to do, question if it's going to return more back to me, question if I'll get any value from spending it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So helpful to like recognize that that's what the unintentional brain might want to do. But you can already start reprogramming this by almost like visualizing that moment. And like, what is my new relationship like? How do I feel if I really do truly believe that money is like air? And when I exhale, just have to inhale. Right? It's going to come. There's air around to come back. Like, what would be different if you were to kind of visualize you being the person that has that new relationship with money in that moment after you've like made a payment?
Yeah. I think one thing that would be different is like my thoughts wouldn't be distracted by it, and it wouldn't be something that, as a non-issue, I would just continue on in, whatever excitement and energy that I was moving forward with, and whenever a lot of money is spent, it's for something, and that something, has been decided that it's going to be a good something. Otherwise we wouldn't have, spent it. And so it would have, there would just be more of a better progression of, positive energy or energetic excitement about that. Those types of beliefs that come up, they only ever interfere with whatever's going on, regardless of what it is. They just interfere. And so even just getting rid of that interference would just make everything better.
Yes. So good. So good. So that's something that you can actually visualize ahead of time and then practice it when you're in those moments. Like just getting really clear on that new relationship with money that you want to have and starting to practice it in your day-to-day life. But I also wonder if there's an opportunity, because I think that's going to help you just develop this very neutral relationship with money. But in terms of allowing it to grow in the way you want it to, I wonder if there's like a belief there that you could maybe step into that allows you to create and build like more.
I think just the belief that more money is always coming. I mean, you never see it coming. It just shows up. And so, I mean, there could be an email in my inbox right now with somebody that wants to give me a bunch of money. I think just really holding on to the belief that more is coming, and that belief can be, supported with the evidence of all of the money that has come. It's not an unreasonable belief at all to think that more is coming.
Yes. Do you have a money goal?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah. So the things that I have am working on manifesting this year are, I guess, sort of, but they're more other things, like in my Kajabi affiliate business, to get to 200 referrals. I could have, I guess, said that in a dollar amount, figured out what the dollar amount was, but it's that. And I want to buy a Cybertruck when they're available, when Tesla finally decides to make them. And so it's more thing type things than actual money amounts, but yeah.
Yeah. That might be something. And I mean, just to think about, a money goal might be something that could really help, I think, help clean up any of these beliefs of like around like the part of you that's not really letting yourself want more money, or cleaning up this part of you that's telling yourself money isn't that important or has been.
Yeah.
And almost looking at like, what's in the way of creating a money goal? Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. It's been a lot easier for me to create goals and to work on achieving things that aren't as concrete, I guess, as like achieving this much, or say making $350,000 in my business next year. And instead, I've focused a lot more on more subjective things like happiness and things like that, because I don't know, it's almost like if I put a really, and I do, 200 people is very measurable, compared to what I'm at now, but it's when it's so objective, or when it's so easily measured, then it just requires a lot more faith, I think. Like, it's just a bit scarier when it's like, it's so easy to measure.
So it's scarier to set a money goal?
That's a really good way of saying that really long explanation that I just stumbled through. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I think it might be a great opportunity for you, because really it's like the process of creating 200 people in your Kajabi affiliate program or a Cybertruck, there's really no difference in the process of those versus money, but your brain thinks it's different and it thinks it's harder, and thinks, I don't know if it's harder necessarily, but it thinks it's scarier, maybe harder. Maybe you think you'll put pressure on. I don't know exactly what's coming up, but I think there's an opportunity to clean that stuff up.
To clean all that stuff out.
if you set a money goal, it's going to like let
Come
all
up.
of that rise to the surface. That is probably what's getting in the way of you like really getting back to that teenage dream of like letting yourself really want the money that you're going to have in your lifetime because you saw it as a teenager.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot
You're
of
going
sense.
to have it, but you're just going to have to clean up these parts of you that thinks that manifesting money is different than manifesting 200 people or a Tesla Cybertruck.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Thoughts on that?
You're right, Jamie.
I think that might be the next bit of work. And of course, we can work together on it since, you're still in the program and everything. But I think that's going to allow you to, because you do already have a great relationship with money. And I think stepping into that money is like air and making it where it's not important, but it's not important. That's going to be amazing for like how you feel around money. But if you really want to grow it, I think there's just some work and some uncovering of like your beliefs about what it takes to make money is going to be so powerful.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. And I do think focusing on that will expose a lot of things. And that's those things that I just naturally have a difficult time trying to, pinpoint them myself. I think that'll be a good thing because those are probably what's in the way.
Do you want to set a money goal on here and declare it so that we can celebrate next year?
I don't even know what it would be. That just lots.
Lots.
I don't even know. When you said that, like a number didn't even come into my mind. I feel like I really suppressed the idea that I need to have an amount. Like I don't want like, and I've talked about this with Crystal, and she's like, well, how much do you want in your bank account? And I was like, honestly, I don't care if there's anything in the bank account. I just want more to always be coming in. Like there's not a number that's really what the amount is. I just want it to always be filling up, and so I really like developed that type of an idea.
Yep.
So I can't just spit a number out right now, but that would be fun.
Yeah. Do you want that? I mean, and it's okay if you want that to be a relationship where there's always enough, but I would just explore, is that what I actually ultimately want? If I can have anything and I can have it all, like, is that what I want? Or would I actually want to like be able to set an income goal and achieve it without working more hours by really working on my mindset and doing the same things that I'm doing to manifest this Cybertruck?
Yeah.
Like you can explore, like if you could have that, would you want it? And if the answer is no, it's totally fine. You get to have whatever relationship with money you want.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right. Well, I've got some great things to work with now.
Yes, you totally do. And I'm looking forward to hearing more.
For sure.
Thanks so much, JD. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Thank you, Jamie.
Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.